So this week we're going to talk about effective communication. So this conversation is for you. If you feel you have trouble communicating, if you feel like you have things that you need to express, you have desires that you need to state, that you need to be able to have an open container of communication with you and whoever, your partner, your friend, your parents, your coworkers, whatever it may be, but you may feel that you are having trouble actually getting your point across or being able to be receptive and received with what you're stating. So this conversation is going to be for you. I'm going to give you some clear action steps to help you to dive into how to communicate and have those beautiful, clear conversations. So what we're going to do is I want to make sure that you know that a lot of this comes from a flow from within. So if you feel that you have trouble speaking and expressing, there can absolutely be a block from your essential life force energy. And so if you feel that you are literally shut down in your lower half, then I'm going to invite you to just type in meditation here, and you'll get access to an energy activation process I walk you through within 10 minutes, activating your energy, and it will help to nourish, and you will actually help nourish your throat. So having these conversations is going to be a lot clearer and a lot easier for you to do. So I'm Missy Garcia. I am your sex and leadership coach, and we are going to dive into communication today. When you can communicate, it opens up a space for deeper healing. So I'm going to give you some steps on how to communicate. Now, the first step, and this was something that I had to absolutely learn, was to make sure that when you are needing to have a conversation, that it's at the most opportune time. That means that I don't recommend having deeper, meaningful, maybe energy charge type conversations locked in a car because there's no exit point, and either you stop talking or you can actually move through it together, or, it's just not really the good time. Plus, if somebody's driving, they can't really be like looking at you. You can't have the same sort of body language. And so things can get misconstrued. So the right context and space. My husband and I have created a container where we literally invite the person into having a conversation. He will come into the room and be like, hey, is now a good time for us to have a chat? And I'll be like, yes, no, later. I can do it in 10 minutes. Give me a little bit more time, whatever that may be. I realize if he's watching a rugby game, definitely not the most opportune time for me to go and try to have a deeper conversation with him. And so we always make sure that we have the right context and the right space shown. So that way we can make sure that we are on the same level. If we are distracted, then we're not going to be able to give each other the same sort of engagement. We're not going to be able to interact with each other in the same sort of way. And so we want to have clear conversations when we're both 100% focused on that conversation and not distracted. So make sure you have the right context, the right space, and the person that you want to have the conversation with has agreed to have the conversation with you. So if you're just like walking into the room and like, blah, 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 this is what I need, it's not going to necessarily go over well. Most likely their defenses are going to go up. They're going to be on guard, and they haven't really said yes to having this conversation with you. So make sure that you have the space and the context set up. The next thing is start with something good. People want to hear something good. How often do you feel, I used to feel this all the time, that I would always be like, all you're doing is pointing out the negative. All you're doing is telling me what I'm not doing right, when I'm not feeling right. And I know I was doing that to my partner too. I was constantly telling him that, oh, you aren't doing this, you're not doing this, blah, 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 blah. And so whenever I would want to have a deeper conversation with him, automatically his guard would go up because he just thought it was going to be me hounding him about something. And so when you start with something good, it helps those defense mechanisms to come down. It allows them to kind of settle into the conversation, allow them to feel a little bit more in their body, a little bit more safer, and then it creates a clearer container to speak deeper and more clearly about what it is that you need. So start with something that you love. I love it when, you know, I'll just speak today. I'm a acts of service type girl, and I look out the window and I had a huge truckload of wood being delivered for the winter here. And I'll tell you what, that spoke to my soul. And so I go and I tell him like, that's just like, I love that. I love it when those acts of service just really just speak to me. So, you know, start with something good, start with something positive to say to start the conversation. Then you're going to dive into expressing your need and why you need it. Now, there's a difference between putting your need onto somebody else to fulfill it, or it just is an honest conversation about what is occurring for you on the inside. And so when you can express what is occurring for you on the inside, it could literally be like, for me, I 100% remember this conversation, was I needed him to take out the trash because I had an association and meaning with him taking out the trash was him caring for me. Again, acts of service woman. That's my love language. So if I felt that the trash was overloaded and it was something that was put on to me to have to do, I felt that I wasn't being cared for or that he didn't care enough for me. That was a meaning that I put to it. So when I had a conversation literally set up just like this was when I could say, look, I understand that this is not just your role, but for me, it makes me feel that I'm cared for when you just take out the trash without me even having to bother you or ask you to do it. And I feel that I need that because my little girl within me just always needs to feel cared for. And I care for her too, but it's really nice when I have you that seems to be caring for her too. And so having that conversation with him gives him not just like, hey, I need you to take out the trash, right? There's a deeper need behind it. There's a deeper why behind it. And so when I'm able to express that deeper need and that deeper why is when he's able to actually have that conversation with me around it. So, I look like I'm frozen. I hope that you can hear me. And I hope that it's going good. Okay, I'll just keep rolling. All right, so express your need and express why you need it. It's not just a like blanket need, I just need you to take the trash. Why do you need it? Why does it feel like something that needs to happen on the other end for you? What does that fulfill for you? Then give really crystal clear actions. So if it's around, say, like an acts of service, when you see it piled up, you know, something that you could do within the next, 8 hours or, give it a really clear action. Whatever it is that you are expressing, whatever it is that you need, whatever, like give some very clear action steps. People need to know exactly what it is because they cannot read your mind. So they're listening to you, they're hearing you, they're like with you with what is needed, but they need to know what needs to happen now. So what is that very clear action step to move forward? So that way it's basically resolved and you're moving into kind of the next step within this conversation. So very, 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 very crystal clear. Now, the last part might be the part that you may have trouble with, but being very receptive to feedback. What do they want to say to you? What is something that they want to give you in return? What is something that they are feeling? What is coming up for them as you are talking to them in this way? And you now holding the space for them to express and hearing it. Now, triggers can happen, right? You can be triggered by different things. Over time, the more that you have these types of clear conversations, the more that the triggers won't be there as often, and the more that you'll be able to hold the space for each other to talk deeper. So just continue to move through it, continue to have the conversation, continue to keep coming back and being very clear and just being open. When you're open to feedback, then your partner is going to feel safe and secure to be able to have these conversations with you, to be able to sit with you in these conversations, because it means to them that you're going to hear what they have to say at the end. And so it's a receptive back and forth. So it's going to create a new trust factor. not just a one-sided conversation, which is really, really important. So if you have trouble with these conversations, access my meditation. It's going to help to nourish your throat, which is going to help to nourish your voice and activate your power energy, your power source. That's going to allow you to feel more confident, more in your flow, more connected for you to have these deeper conversations. And then just start practicing these steps. Just get into action with it and let me know if there's anything else I can help you with on a deeper level. I'm Missy Garcia again. I am your Sex and Leadership Coach. I will see you again next week, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say.